Hey guys, welcome to another session of Men of Honor. The most consistent question people have been asking me is why don't you bring ladies on this show? I've been very hesitant to bring women on this show. And my thinking has been that there's so many platforms for women and we have very limited spaces, places where men can go, be themselves and express how they feel. But after a very long time arm twisting, and after having a very good conversation with my beautiful sister and queen here, I decided that she's got a lot to tell us. And we as men, if we're going to solve what's happening in the world, we have to understand what's happening on both sides. So today, I have the pleasure of introducing somebody very special that you will find interesting, and after this you'll tell me to bring her again. I'm introducing Dudu Tabete, a very regal presence in the realm of shaping young men into honorable figures. Just much like a queen from the royal family, with grace and wisdom fit for royalty, Dudu has personally dedicated herself to guiding boys through the journey of manhood, embodying the essence of nobility in a world that often overlooks its significance. Her majestic influence shines brightly as she instills values of honor, integrity, and strength in the hearts of those she mentors. Let's put our hands together and help me in welcoming to the studio none other than Queen Dudu.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm very well. What an introduction. For a moment I thought, no, that can't be me.
Because I think the thing is you don't really understand how important the job that you're doing at this point. We are sitting in a situation in a country, but even before we get into the depth of our discussion, I think it will be good for the viewers for us to roughly tell us what you're involved in and what you're doing currently.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Steve, for this platform. It's an important platform. And it's amazing that I dreamt about this, us, having a chat and a podcast, and it just happened, But I think it's because I think there is alignment of our minds in terms of what you're doing and what I'm doing. And so we are a group of single mothers who are raising, our sons without their father's involvement. And so we got together after having a chat and talking about some of the challenges of just raising, sons when their father is not present in their lives. And we started, we launched in 2022. And the idea really is, sometimes it's difficult, I think, as mothers to put ourselves in the shoes of our sons and really understand the challenges as they are growing up, the challenges that they meet. Mothers, by their nature, are very nurturing. Fathers are important in our kids' life because they bring structure and guidance. But more importantly, they show this child from the time that they're young what it means to love a woman as they love the mother, as they show affection to the mother, as they protect the family, and they really demonstrate what it means to be a man. As mothers, and mothers have done this for many years, and we're not taking anything away from mothers. They've raised men who hold very important positions, who have who now have, amazing careers. But society says to women that are raising boys that you can be both a mother and a father. And actually, it's not true. I can't show my son what it means to be a man, when I've never been a man myself. And the best person to do that is a father. And if the father is not around, uncles, Obaba Mngane, the other positive role models, teachers, coaches, pastors, there are many members in our communities and actually in our extended families that can be there to support mothers. So to summarize, Our organization is Sivusi Sizwe Africa Initiative. And it is Sivusi Sizwe because we realize the importance of guiding young boys and imparting really good values and principles and helping them so that they can grow to be caring, responsible, and productive citizens of our society. They can't do that alone. They need to have men guiding them to do that if the father is not around. So we work with kids that are at school, starting from the age of 13. That is when they almost exit, your primary or have just started high school, up until they're 17. From this year onwards, we're going to be working with young men who are at university, who are coming, from high schools and starting their university life, where they have this independence, and yet they haven't had a father being there guiding them. We also support single mothers, because as single mothers, there is a lot that they deal with, and sometimes you find that, there are levels and levels of trauma, sometimes of guilt, sometimes of shame, that they feel they can't share with a lot of people, because in the first place, you are where you are because you made a decision of not protecting yourself. You brought a child into this world without two parents. And oftentimes, these mothers, the reason why we're saying single, it's single income households, and you know what comes with that. These days they say it is so expensive to raise a child. So you can imagine, as a single mother, trying to make up for the missing parent in terms of emotional support and then in terms of financial support. So we support single mothers so that they can and provide an environment and resources so that they can raise their kids in a resourceful environment to be the best that they can be. In summary, that's what we do.
Now, that's hell for work. But the point today, I want us to more or less, I think if you look around us, there's a notion that as men, we failed. There's a notion that as men, we the ones that are running away from our responsibilities. So what I want us to use this forum for today is more or less understand from each other's side. Because there are things on your side that I have no idea, and there are things from my side you have no idea. And because we have that big miscommunication gap, we cannot understand each other if there's a very big miscommunication.
Yes.
So my first thing I'm going to ask you here is, how do we, in a society where the mothers, because 65% of our boys are being brought in homes where the mother is the head. And it shows very well that most mothers, I've got a lot of single mother friends. And my biggest question to them is, you as mothers, you are bringing up, you are raising your daughter, but you are loving your son. So they bring up this daughter in the best way she can be the best woman. But the son is spoiled. He does nothing. He's got a carte blanche to do as he pleases. Now, how do we make these women or these mothers realize that there's also a very big part that they need to play? Because as they're raising this boy now, they have to factor in, they're not only raising their son, they're raising somebody's husband, and that's somebody's son, somebody's father going forward. How do we bridge that divide?
I think it's and that's a valid question. And perhaps before I answer that question, it's also important, I think, to paint a picture of probably just a day in the life of a mother, who wakes up very early in the morning, and maybe they are going to go and look after someone else's child, after someone else's home, going to a job that you as a man, going to knowing all of those challenges, living early, just making sure that you've done everything for the kids at home. And by the time you come back, and with all the challenges of jobs, we know some of these challenges, coming home early in the evening, having to make sure that they've done homework, cooked. You can't do everything the way that you want to. So that's the first challenge that we have as women. I think women actually also do quite a lot in the home that almost doesn't feel like they've done something, because it's something that you do every day. So it's not like a job and you come home and there is a salary at the end of the month. She comes home, she has to cook, has the cleaning been done? There actually are so many things. So, but within that, yes, the focus tends to be on girls because, girls have to be protected. And men, almost all boys, are, at home, I think also a girl knows where they are in terms of their developmental phase. So she's around 13, so she is now really, taking part in the chores at home. So she's cooking, possibly. She started to cook, or she's preparing vegetables and whatever. She's cleaning at home. And boys would normally be maybe cleaning the dad's car, cleaning the yard. So in environments where the yards are small, where they are in a flat, so there is no yard, maybe there is no car to clean, what do boys do?
But you see, that's where I'm,
Yes.
that's where I'm coming in,
Yes.
because and that's
Yes.
where we I think.
That's why we're falling short.
Yeah. So what we need to look at here, I think, and one thing that most mothers, I think, where they fall short, as you say, is they forget, apart from the specific chores, what we're taking away from this boy here is teaching responsibility. Because as I say, the daughter is raised. This child, the girl is raised, she's got such a high responsibility rate. But the boy wakes up at 11. If he wants Nike shoes, the mother will slave to buy them. He's got an iPhone, he's got a PlayStation. The sister will be shouted down if he doesn't make breakfast for him. He doesn't even make his bed. Now, one of the things that we need, how do we make these mothers understand? Because this is just not between her and the son. This is completely killing the son's future.
It is.
Yeah. In the real world, a man that does not understand what responsibility is, it's a man that is doomed to fail. So what kind of advice will you give these mothers?
So that is where we are going now, putting together a program. So the first thing that we do with mothers is to understand where they are emotionally and mentally and give them that kind of support. It's almost like when they say in a plane, before you do anything, you need to make sure if anything happens, you give yourself oxygen first before you can give to someone else. If your cup is empty, you can't pour into someone else's cup. So we started with emotional wellness. So where we're going now is to say, so let's look at what challenges you have in terms of raising your son. What are the themes that are coming through? And the reason why we chose this kind of age is because this is when boys start kind of looking at themselves, trying to find out who they are, looking at barriers, wanting to find out how far I can push. They really want to, it's almost like, I'm almost a man. I'm saying almost. They are 13 going on 18 at that time. It is important for children to be guided and knowing what they can and what they can't do and why that is important, and most of the time kids don't have routine. One of the things that we did last year for the first time in partnership with Mangosuthu University of Technology and sponsors, the Tiger Brands and Coca-Cola, we were able, and Marsh Insurance, we were able to run a camp for boys. That was the first camp that we did. And we wanted to do the first camp so that we can learn. We can learn the things that they've learned at home, what their day looks like, emotionally, what they need in terms of support. And we realized that most kids just come home, and if they haven't done homework, they then do homework. What about studying? No, but I've done homework. But homework is not studying. So that's one of the important things that we learned. Kids need to do homework, but they need to understand that they need to study. They need to look at their subjects, and they need to have a timetable, because come the time for them to write tests, they don't have enough time to revise everything that they've done in the first 6 months or in the first quarter. That's the first routine that you're talking about, which we don't have. Whereas most of the time, when there is a father and a mother or a positive role model, while she is supervising at home, someone is making sure that kids have done their homework. And number two, it's routine. So what is your role as a boy when you are 13, 14, 15? What is your role at home? What is the thing that would not be done because you're not at home? And oftentimes the home will continue to run because, as you say, they don't have any responsibilities. Do you take out garbage all the time? Are you responsible for cleaning the yard? Are you responsible for helping mom do all those runs, to go to the shopping mall? What are the things that you are known for at home that contribute towards this running of the home? Because that's why you're instilling these values of a nurturing young men, a nurturing man, a nurturing later husband, And then also, making them aware of good values that men have and why those are important. And they should be good values for them, because if they're good for you, they're good for another person as well.
So does it mean you're running in your organization, you run more or less, I don't know what to call them, either workshops or seminars for the mothers, for them to be able to understand that kind of role that they need to bring in a routine for the sons?
So the starting point is having conversations
with the mothers.
We have, we are so, I think we are so quick to run seminars. It's the same thing that we are going to be doing for men, that we're doing for men. We're so quick to have seminars and people coming to present. We've said, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. Let's have these uncomfortable discussions. And you find that as women, we come up and we say, my challenge in my experience raising my sons, or when I saw within family, extended family or friends, these are some of the challenges. And you will find that women themselves actually do have solutions, But consistency is the most important thing. You will find that it's not that maybe, someone is not saying so and so, these are the things that I want you to do all the time. But as I said, boys come to an age where they push and they push boundaries. And that's why it's important to be very consistent about the things that each person is responsible for, within reason, obviously,
So let's take, I think, as you say, most of us black people, we love to feel good rather than get better. We run seminars, we forever running seminars, because the basic things that we need to do, we need to start doing the work now.
Yeah.
And the work is not comfortable.
No.
And the work is
it's uncomfortable.
No, it's not sexy. Now, if we look at, we all know what the statistics are nationally, from a provincial level all the way to the nation. And if you can check the Home Affairs stats, it's bad. 6 out of 10 boys in this country don't have fathers. And for those that have fathers at home, doesn't really mean that the father is there fathering them, because the fathering role, unfortunately, most of us haven't been taught. It's very hard to be a man if you've never seen one. And we live in a society, an easy example I tell people in the gym here, I can't remember last time I saw a 60-year-old black man. We don't see those. I see 60-year-old white men, I see 60, 70-year-old Indian men. but I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest this boy see every day. So, and what does that do to me? And
Yes.
because then automatically I have no blueprint of what it means for me going forward.
Yes.
So if we look at why we have those, that's the effect that our women are stuck bringing up our boys. But now let's focus on the cause, because we say the general notion is the black man is a runner. That's what goes around. If you say you've got a kid and you're not staying with them, people already jump to conclusions. They think, but I need the women out there, from the most of the men I talk to, a man will never run from his child.
Why do you say that?
Because I know I have a lot of men friends that talk to me on a daily. A man can run from a situation. It can
Yes.
reach a point where I don't feel a man enough to provide for you as my wife, to provide for you as my child. And if there is a communication break, or there is a lot of tension between the man and the woman, most men, unfortunately, if he's not strong enough, he will leave. Now, for my sisters out there, for me, I say the first success that a woman must know is from a man. It's just for him to stay. A man just staying in a relationship and being there for you, irrespective of how much money you make. That is a big thing in this society right now. So men don't run away from their kids, because in the end, the kids always feel like, my father ran away from me. Mine is to assure those kids that a man will never run away from a child. A man might run away from the woman if the woman is not understanding. Because if it reaches a point where most of our girls now are brought up also, they brought up being very strong women, but they teach them how to be women. Most women are taught what they should expect from a man, but nobody's teaching these girls how to teach them, how to treat a man. So she comes with this notion. And a good example, I've got a lot of professional women friends. A woman will talk a lot about how powerful she is in her career, how high her position is at work. But she forgets one thing, which I think most of us don't understand. Irrespective of how high your position is, a woman gets affirmation from the person she loves. We men get affirmation from what we do. So a man's position gives him confidence, it gives him stature.
Yeah.
Now, how do we reconcile in a society where women are being taught to be men? How do I become a man to a man that is a better man than me?
Yeah.
Now, the woman, all she talks about is her power.
Yeah.
She talks about her career,
Yeah.
how she doesn't need me for her kids. She needs me for nothing.
Yeah.
Now, how do I reconcile with a woman like that? Because that's where most black men are.
Yeah. I hear you. So some of the stuff I don't agree 100%, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I think the work that we're doing jointly, I think, is an important work. I think the reason why we're focusing on young men and we are recruiting men to be mentors for our boys so that they can guide them. There is what is called the rite of passage from boyhood to manhood. And that played a key role, because at each phase, not only will this young boy and young man know where he is, he also is being taught about the world, is being taught about how to court girls, to a point where if he didn't have money, it wouldn't stop him from having the kind of woman that he wants. He would be able to converse with her at her level. He would love her. He would be caring, and he would be responsible. Responsible. The word responsible has got layers. There are some men who have got money, but women will still leave them with their money. Why are they living? If we're saying money is the only thing that's important, it is important. It's like oxygen. But there is a lot more that is important. A woman wants a man who loves her. She needs to feel love. Love is an action word, and there's so many other things that you can do over and above money, And I think we need to find men that can guide our boys, who are able to know themselves and because they know themselves.
No, but you see,
and they have, if I can finish, they know themselves, they've got confidence, but they know how to engage women. They know how to engage women. What we have now is men, sometimes I'm generalizing, going to a party, or they go to, I don't know, Shisanyama or, club, and putting out the keys for the car and buying expensive liquor. But there are men who know who they are, who are able to engage women without putting out money.
100%. But you see, I need us to take a different take here. I don't want us to focus on the effect. The effect is, as men, we're failing in our roles. That one, there's no argument. Why? Because statistics show. The statistics show, if I grew up in a home where there was a father and a mother, and every other neighbor I know, they had a father and a mother. And until I moved into the city, I have never heard of that word orphan. Because if my father died, my uncle was there.
Would take over.
So
extended family.
Yeah.
It's the extended family.
That's it. There was always somebody.
The community.
There was,
which are those things that we don't really have now.
That's it. So what I need us to take here, I don't want us to dwell on that. I think because we have a lot of people that are spending a lot of time on that. What I need a female take. I'm going to come with a male take, because what we've done is we hold this meeting separately, and that crossover, we're failing that. I know what's ailing me, and I know what's affecting men, because when we sit with men, when I give them, we talk about ourselves, and when I bring in a woman, the same guy won't open up. Now, if you look at now,
why is that the case?
No, because the number one thing, I'm lucky I'm in a position where I talk to women separately and I talk to men separately. The first thing is our society is trying to kill masculinity. The truth is, this society tells us that a father doesn't matter, that a man doesn't matter. And they've drummed that into the woman's mind to say that if I have a job, I don't need you. If I have more money than you, I don't need you. Now, those...
And that's what women say to you when you have... Because I sit in environments where women with a lot of money, they still want a man. And they're not wanting a man, and I'm talking about women who are beyond the ages of having kids. They still, because everyone needs love. Everyone needs to feel affirmed, as you say. But also, they have a lot of love to give.
They have a lot of love to give,
yes.
But also we can use that word. We say one of our values in this relationship is love. One of the values here is respect. But we also need to have a metrics. Now, the metrics for women for measuring love and men is different. So we can argue about, this is coffee we're drinking right now.
I agree with you there.
Yeah?
Yes.
Now, what we've done, we have a double standard. If you look at most of our women, and most of my friends, lucky or unlucky enough, most of my sister friends are all professionals. Now, their definition of manhood is totally Western. Now, if you take their definition where the first thing that a man has to do, it has to be financial provision. That is the number one qualifier. And then we live in a society where it makes sure that the man cannot be able to affirm that love by providing what the consumer market says. Now, for that woman, her metrics for love is for you to buy a BMW. So if you buy her a Volkswagen, her metrics, you don't love her enough. Now, until we sit down, whoever owns the definition of your life owns your life. Now, we're fighting about the wrong thing. We're talking about love, but our definition is wrong.
Is wrong.
Yeah. So until we go back and define, what does love between a black man and a black woman mean? Because the love between a white woman and a white man is totally different in Western culture. My father and my mother's love, if you had to ask me to define it, it does not fit into what the current culture does. Now, and those are things I think we need to start drumming into our people to realize that You can still have love in your heart, but the man or woman next to you, he won't receive it because the way you express it is wrong. Are you with me?
You are saying we need to have these conversations ourselves and together, you know. And yes, I think it's important for men to have these conversations, and that's what we encourage, and boys to have these conversations, you know, on their own, so that they can be very honest about the challenges that they're experiencing and understand that another man or another young man or another boy is actually experiencing the same thing, that says you are not alone. And then we need to get together. You know, I think what you're saying is very important, the conversations between men and women. But those conversations need to take place when men have been honest with themselves and women have been honest with themselves about their challenges. You know, because they say if you can't identify what the issue is, then where do we start in terms of our conversation? Because, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, because I think we more or less know. If I see most men that I deal with, when they sit down and they talk to me, it's very few of them that don't know what the issue is. And when I talk to the woman separately, the issue is exactly the same. A woman will say, you know what, this guy is a beast. I can't live with him. And the guy will tell me, you know what, this woman, he's crazy. I can't live with him. But what is the thing? What is the main problem here? And one of the most common, I think as women, you don't really understand as men. Like,
that's why they say others are from Venus and others are from Mars.
Yeah, but we don't.
We speak the same language, but you know we don't understand each other.
The traditional that I'm brought up in a very traditional way. I'm not a traditionalist. I'm very cultural, but I'm brought up in a very traditional way. So I see things through the filter of tradition, and then I have to translate them into the modern. So somebody can say something, I have to take it back, and then it will only come later where I say, okay, that's what she meant. Now, if we take it like that, and we look at, we're talking about men my age now, and South Africa becomes a very good canvas we're going to talk about. You cannot be a good father if you are never a good son. It's very hard to be a good father if you've never been a good son. It doesn't matter what age you are, you need to become a son first before you can become a good father to somebody else.
And then someone says you can't be a good son if you've never seen anyone being a good father.
But you see, it is the same thing. I mean, you'll find in most cases, I always say, any man will attest to this. If you've got a young son and you're busy shaving or doing something that is manly, in most cases, if you have a very good relationship with your son, he's always exactly there doing exactly what you do.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Even how you dress.
Yeah, that's it. So he takes,
mannerism.
That's it. You take the powder, you put on.
Yes.
You see him take powder, he puts on.
Yeah.
You take the razor, you give him a plastic razor. You cut, you check in the mirror, you see him do that. And I remember one day, my son was young, and I looked at him and he looked at me and he asked me, what are you looking at? And at that point I realized I'm looking at who I used to be, and he's looking at who he's going to become. I asked him,
wow,
what are you looking at? He said, one day I just want to become like you.
Oh, wow.
Now, to him it's a big compliment.
Yes.
But deep inside, I was scared, because I'm like, I remember telling myself, you don't want to become like me, because I don't want you to go through what I went through. I don't want you to have all the problems that I go through. I don't want that for you. But we forget now, this boy, as much as I love him and I want him to be the greatest man out there, my role is to make sure that I protect him from everything that I've been through.
Yes.
Yeah? And that's where it's very hard for you to be a good son, a good father, if you've never been a good son. Now, we have to, with our men out there, as much as we want them, because he's 50, 60, we're putting them in that box that he has to become a father mentor. We need to be very careful. Most of our men also need that to be somebody else's son first, before we can unleash them into the society and for them to become what?
This is a scary discussion.
For them to be for them to
Yes.
become father. But
Yeah.
nobody talks about that.
Yes.
Nobody.
Yes.
I talk constantly. I talk to men my age in the gym, and I always ask them a very simple question: when did you become a man? Most of them don't know.
It's true.
Is it when you did your matric?
It's true.
Is it when you bought your first cell phone?
And in fact, that phase is such a long phase because in this space where you ask young men over 20, those that have started working, so you're probably looking at the ages of 24 to about 29, 30, and you ask them, so where are you in terms of your life stage? They're not sure. You were talking about responsibilities and accountabilities. They're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing at home. No one has ever actually told me. A girl knows exactly. You are 13. This is what is expected of you. You are getting into puberty. This is what it means. These are the things you need to be careful for in terms of your body. This is how your body is changing. They get to 18. Okay, you almost now, boys are looking around and probably are in a stable relationship. Who's having the same discussions with boys? Then they come to about 24, okay? So they've finished whatever it is that they've been training for. They're not sure what they account. They're not sure what is expected of them. So it actually is a very important discussion.
I think we downplay how important the rite of passage is. And most people still say, I think I read it, I think it was last year when a few boys died in Eastern Cape. They died in the mountains when they went for their normal traditional circumcision. But my argument, as much as people think it's traditional, if a man doesn't go through rite of passage, he will self-initiate. More men are dying from self-initiation than from traditional initiation.
Sure.
Because a man that has never been through rite of passage will experiment with drugs, he'll experiment with alcohol, he'll experiment with women, he'll experiment with everything. He'll kill himself in car accidents. There is no man that will not try to self-initiate. So it's easier. We protect
and they do that in different ways.
In different dangerous ways.
Yeah, dangerous ways.
In more dangerous ways. So we save more lives by bringing in rite of passage, which is something that we've avoided. But also going back to our women's story, I think personally, as a man, when we talk about communication, most women, we don't fight because of what it is that you say or ask. Most men will just walk away because most women have very poor timing.
Okay, interesting.
Now, our lives, a woman's life is hard, but a man's life is harder. And a black man's life is harder. And a black man's
why
life,
do you say that?
In most cases, we live in a very racialized society where more or less everything is put in place, where the woman is elevated, and this is something that you can tell very much from the mines, when men were taken from the home and women were brought into the jobs that men used to do in the city, and the woman is given more money. So that demasculated. The minute you go against nature, something is going to happen. So we live in a society where the pressure for black men to perform is very high in the environment out there. Why? Because unfortunately, as much as we used to be field hands during slavery, we're still very much field hands now, just in air-conditioned offices. The only difference is you might have a piece of paper as a degree, but you still work. So the frustrations haven't gone. The demands for success haven't gone. And now we're living with women where definition of love is defined by somebody else. And when
it has evolved.
It's evolved, but in a bad way. Now, when we come home, and if you look at most relationships are starting to fail 40 plus, right? It's when all of a sudden, because in the beginning, when you have young kids and it's very easy for kids to keep a man and a woman together, but when the kids are out. But for us as men, we have different stages that I think our women don't understand. Every man lives for two things. We live for performance and reward. whether you're 9 or 90, it doesn't really matter. I need to perform. If I take the dustbin out, I need you to say that was
Pats
a
on the back.
That's it. Unfortunately, a man has been created. A man has been. A man has been
I
created.
never knew that men were this simple.
A man has been created in the image and likeness of God. Same thing. If you praise God, He opens what?
Yes,
He
heavens.
He opens the windows of heaven, and all of a sudden, so we exactly like that. As simple as we think it is, a man is perform, reward. Now, all of a sudden, you'll find if you look at most of our
Sorry,
women,
you know what? Actually, what you're saying makes sense. Because when boys perform tasks, that they're supposed to perform all the time, but they do it like once a month, or then they're waiting. Did you see how I wash the dishes? Did you see how I do? I'm like, why? We do that how many times a day? And no one pats us on the back.
but you see, but now let's look at the psychology.
But I love what you're saying,
But
actually,
look at,
on a serious note.
let's look at the psychology here. When you look in the movies, you see a man buy flowers. He takes to a woman. What does he do? He jumps and she hugs him.
Yes.
Right?
And she smells it and she, yeah.
But what happens when we buy flowers and we take them home? In most cases.
Well, you would assume same thing happens.
No,
Jump up
it doesn't,
for joy.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work out the same way we see it in the movies. Then you have to ask yourself why. I've spent so much money to buy these flowers. She takes a nice flowers, she puts it there. It's only later on you understand. A woman, your love for a woman is affirmed when the others are around. When you take it to that office and her friends say, he didn't, she jumps and she hugs you.
And she tells everyone.
But if you bring it at home, now, if you bring it at home, it's just normal flowers. Just put them there and put them in the water later on. Now, this
For both of us to enjoy.
Now, these are things like you have to be. This is psychology.
What an interesting insight.
This is psychology that most of us don't really understand.
This is the psychology that we need to tell young boys, but we need to tell young women as well.
Of course. We need to share it.
Yeah, we need to share.
We need to share it. But so if a man lives for performance and reward, and he brings flowers, you put them on the table and you continue cooking. Now, what have you done? Is he going to bring tomorrow?
No.
He comes in, he's tired, he takes the dustbin, takes them out, he comes back, nothing happens. Now, remember, men and women, we receive, our metrics for love is different.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, this man, tomorrow you're going to push this man to do that. But now, if you look at that relationship, they still love each other. The value is the same. These people love each other, but these people are always on each other's throat. Not because they hate each other, but because they have very wrong metrics of
They
success.
talk at cross purposes.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Now, most of our relationships are breaking that at 40 plus. And why I say that our communication is flawed is because the woman's timing. A woman that has been taught, if I look at my mother was a very well-versed woman when it came to my dad. I never saw my mother argue with my father. But does it mean my father was always right? No. But she will tell him a week later that the way he spoke to Dudu wasn't right. And what will my dad do? He'll just smile. That's his way of apologizing. But she'll never confront him. Now, for me, when I recollect that and I think back, I realize how clever this woman was. How much this woman understood what? Understood
His men. Her men.
Yeah. So when it comes to us as men, and I'm talking as a black man, where all of a sudden when we're talking about 40s, when most men start going through that, because most men, we cannot stand it. We like stability. And when you get into your 40s, you lose a lot of stabilities.
Yeah.
And it starts first with your physical health. For the first time, you start losing your hair. You used to depend on your body a lot. You are the biggest, strongest man. You start getting weak. All of a sudden, your doctor tells you your blood pressure is high. One of your friends now has cancer. The other one just died. Your business is not doing well. Your wife makes jokes to say you're not the man you used to be. Now, all these things, as much as it's a joke, but for a man it's not a joke.
Wow.
Because it's affecting his stability, right? The boss has just told him, you need to pull up your socks or we're going to replace you. The same day he comes home. And you know what? women have an elephant's memory. She's waiting there and she says, you remember 10 years ago when we married, you said that we'll have bought this house in Morningside. We'll have this house in Zimbabwe. I'll be driving a 4x4. Look at your friend Lamini. Look, they go on holiday twice a year, and that's the day he didn't. It's not wrong, because a woman is there to remind you. Most of us as men, we give up quickly because the world slaps you, right? But the timing was wrong. She just picked the worst time. It's like you telling me I'm black. I see it every day in the mirror.
You don't have to tell me. Yeah.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to remind me. So there is a lot of these small little things that are messing up our relationship. As much love as we have for each other, but because we don't understand each other, we end up not becoming together. We become apart. We become each other's enemy,
Yes.
and that is increased how hard life is. The life between a black man and a black woman is painful. Go to the magistrate's court and see. It's painful, but when you listen to these people talking, it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah. In fact, what you're saying is it reflects what some of the men, that we're working with, or friends and colleagues. They say, the reason why men don't go home straight from work is because they just need that time to be able to leave all of those stresses that they might have, received at work, all the pressure, as you say, and they want to have a couple of pints so that by the time they get home, it's just time to eat and go to bed, literally.
But you see,
and women are saying, I'm sitting here all the time waiting for you.
yeah,
I've been waiting for you. I've cooked a good meal. The kids are in bed. I've done all of this, and I'm waiting for you. But as you say, and as you are talking, this got me thinking that as we at Civil Society are talking about the importance of this rite of passage for our boys, that girls actually need the rite of passage as well, so that they understand the kind of maybe a partner that eventually they want to settle with, and to understand just the psyche, for men. I think there are just so many, what are they called, myths about men and women. I mean, I think ultimately we want the same thing. We want love. But as you say, love is expressed differently. And I think it's expressed differently at different life stages as well. And so ours is about saying we want to have more men we can have these type of conversations with, so that they can come and impart that knowledge to our sons, But you are saying women need that too. And it's something to think about.
but you see, I think just to add on what you're saying, if you want to drive a car, by law you have to go to a driving school. If you want to be a doctor, by law, you have to go to a medical school. If you want to be a policeman, by law, you have to go to college. But have you ever asked, traditionally, we had institutions, before you get married, you had to be trained. Now, to get married, I don't need any training.
No. You need to go on your knee, buy a ring, and go on
That's
your
it.
knee and pop a ring in a shopping mall if that's what you want.
And that's the most complicated part of human existence. Living with another human being, you need to be taught. Because all of a sudden you bring these cultures, this background, these needs, these aspirations. We live in a society.
And the traumas with us.
With us. But we're also living in a society where women, they are trained to be wives, but men, we trained for nothing. Yeah. Now, all of a sudden when, and you've seen it at weddings, when the priest says, I do, most women know why they're saying I do to. A man has no idea. You can see in the man say, I do to what? Because what are you asking me I do?
Really?
Most men look confused, but the woman looks him in the eye because she knows, she's been practicing this all. Yes, I do. But the man is like, I don't know where this is happening. Yeah. Just going back to what we're saying there, even Jesus said it clearly. Birds of the air need a nest. beasts need a hole, and Son of Man needs a head to rest. Man needs a cave. Man needs a place where nowadays, because we've been moved into cities because of socioeconomic problems, we live in small congested places.
Yeah.
Even nowadays, a man, you can't be in the toilet, they knock. You know, if it's not the kid, the wife is knocking. You can't even sit there for 5 minutes. How long are you going to be?
No, but also, what are you doing there?
What
What are you doing there?
Where's your cell phone?
Yeah, where are you with your cell phone?
Yeah, what are you doing? Now, so what do? Most men, because traditionally men used to go to strip clubs, but now because of moral reasons, the
I
biggest...
didn't know that was traditional for men to go to strip clubs.
Oh, strip clubs was very traditional. A man used to go to a strip club. When you don't go to a strip club, you're a boy, you're not a man. But now, because it's frowned upon, what do most men do now? The gym has become the place where when a man spends 2-3 hours in a gym, and a man is 40 plus, is married, I know there's something wrong. I call him and ask him, bro, what's going on? And
So they're not really just taking care of themselves.
You can't be in your 40s, 50s, you have a family and a business. You don't have that. I don't have that time to be in the gym for 2 hours unless I'm working. I can only be in the gym for not more than 1 hour. I've got so many other things to do. If you being in the gym 2-3 hours, there's other areas of your life that
taking care of your kids.
Is struggling.
You know,
yeah. And where do our women hide? Our women now are in love with Jesus. They go to church. Most black women are hiding in church because that's a secure place. So she goes to these cell meetings 3-4 times a week for 3-4 hours. She's running from something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's running from something. Now she tells her fight with her husband always is about the pastor. Everything pastor. So to a point where you ask her, why don't you marry him?
If he's that perfect.
If he's so good in everything,
Yeah.
I'm tired of hearing this pastor or whatever. Why don't you just marry him? Now,
Yeah.
big problem.
It's a sign. It's a sign at home when you interact like that. This is actually a very interesting discussion perspective when one has to look at life and hear it from someone else's view, not what we read about, not what we discuss with our friends, not what the world tells us we have to do, but I hear it from the horse's mouth. We need to have more of these conversations. And you're right. I think there used to be forums where wise women would tell girls and educate them about this. And wise men will educate men, which is what you call the rites of passage, about women, and where women would also, when they say, you know what, I don't understand this, or I get angry about this, or I'm frustrated about this, and the wise women will sit her down and they'll say, but this is what life is about. It's not just about you. You need to be able to consider life from other perspectives as well. We actually need to do that in a world where there's so much pressure. And there's quite a lot of pressure on our men, and so as a mother of a son, I kind of understand that it's almost like I think they get at an age where they feel there is so many dreams that they have to fulfill that you ask yourself, when do you live your own life and you feel that, I am also fulfilled in my life with my partner, but also this life is not just about fulfilling dreams of other people, but it's also about fulfilling my dreams and coming into my own, and elevating my game, because all of that requires energy. Even if you were not talking money, just the energy. If you're saying at the end of the day they literally don't have energy to even go back home, that's why they have to go and take a pint or two or a smoke or two to be able to come home and be present.
Because the load shedding like ESCOM, so when you load shedding physical energy because of no passion, every man needs a purpose in life. God created us in a way that a man needs. You can only get your energy, positive energy, from purpose in life. But unfortunately, this society has changed. A man's purpose is to provide for his family. It's your work becomes
It was before, but I think it was providing for the family and also, jointly really having this caring and nurturing environment.
Traditionally, it was your manhood was not in your provision. Your manhood was in who you are, the father, the uncle, the son. But providing what was part of what you do. It wasn't your definition.
Yes, but
You
it was
see,
part. Yeah, it was a
so
given.
it wasn't. So if you lost if
Yes.
you lost that, if for God forbid you broke your leg and you're sick, you can't provide, it never affected your manhood. You were still daddy so and so. Yeah, I mean, remember traditionally, I've never had my father introduce my mother as this is my wife. She'll always say, this is Mululu's mom.
Yes.
You know, because traditionally a woman is not your property. She expands your consciousness. She expands your lineage. She expands who you are as a person. So your father will always introduce her as the mother of so and so. But and you've seen how these things have changed nowadays. They'll say, this is my wife. I mean, that's not African culture. That's very much Western culture, because then it makes the woman small. It doesn't. African culture is about expanding consciousness. You call when you do something wrong as a child. Your father or mother, they only ask you one question: do you know who you are? And that humbles you, because you're given a name, either your grandfather or whoever was very powerful in that society. So, Queen Dudu, this is great. What I need you to do is look straight in that camera. You're going to have to tell people where they can find you, what kind of help you need, and if there's anybody out there in a position to help, don't be shy.
Fantastic. So we're currently based in Durban, and we work in the Tegwini municipality. You can visit our website, www.sivusisizwe.com. You will find us on Twitter @Sivusisizwe. You'll find us on Instagram @Sivusisizwe. Check us out on Facebook, Sivusisizwe, letter B, number 2, letter M, Africa Initiative. That's where we are. We are busy at the moment. In fact, we've launched a fundraising campaign, which you'll find on GoFundMe UK. There is a Sivusisizwe page, because we're raising funds for our camp, which is the winter camp. And we almost hold it, over a couple of days. And we found that, boys just learn so much, from that program. Go to our website and you'll find information. And so we are asking all the positive role models, and we're asking, all those that believe in this project that we're doing of really supporting our boys, our fatherless boys, to donate money. There isn't money that is little. Without a cent, you're not going to have 2 cents. Without a rand, you're not going to have 10 rands. So whatever amount of money you can donate, we would really appreciate that, so that we can hold this camp. But most of all, we're looking for men, we're looking for positive role models. Those men that are retired, teachers that are retired. We're looking for coaches. We're looking for pastors. We're looking for just traditional men. We're looking for men that are passionate about raising boys, who are going to come and be at the forefront, of this campaign. We're starting a movement, because we realize that this problem that we're facing is just too big. When they're saying that it's close to 70% now of children in South Africa that are fatherless. They're saying that of the kids that are born, and every year you're looking at about between 1 million and 1.2 million of kids, they're saying 62%. The birth certificates of 62% of this 1.2 million does not have the details of the father in the birth certificate. That's a huge problem. So we're looking for men. We as mothers want to be behind. We would like men to be at the forefront of this movement. Start this program in your churches, in your stokvels. Look out within your extended family, and those uncles or babomncane and men who are there, we just encourage you to look out for those young men and to support them. it takes a village to raise a child, and we've moved away from that. We need to go back to basics.
Now you've heard it. All her details will be in the link below. Don't hesitate. There is no cent that is too small. God bless, and see you in the next episode. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.